The following video is about nuclear semiotics, symbology, and other ways of communicating over very long periods of time. Please understand that without the Rosetta Stone, we wouldn't know a lot of what we know now about the history of this world. Accidental recordings, or in that case, a deliberate archive created in stone itself. So let's talk about this. Of all the existing waste on the planet, a tiny portion of it is radioactive. So chill the F out. I would be more worried about the microplastics that are getting into your food right now because, yeah. And by the way, all you Fukushima fearmongers and Fukushima death culters, I'm not letting you post. So let's just get that out of the way. But that's an example of extremely low-level waste that is a large volume. But let's do this. Out of the actual radioactive waste, actually emitting radiation, not nuclear waste that's not radioactive. That's actually a thing, by the way. There are elements that are technically radioactive but are hyperstable. Iron itself radiates a bit. It has a half-life. It's one of the most stable elements on the planet. Everything decays back into lead or stops being fissionable or fusionable at iron, okay? Learn those numbers. Let's move on. Of all the radioactive waste that has accumulated worldwide, this is actually an accurate number. Some of it gets reprocessed and reused, so we're just recycling it, making it either more or less radioactive, but the volume and mass, how heavy it is when you weigh it, doesn't really change much. It's still the same number of atoms. It's just being split and some mass is lost, not gained. Volume increases in some cases. Other times it gets more concentrated. 95% of it is low or very low level radioactivity emitting waste. And that would amount to a 475 foot tall cube. That's all of it on the planet. Bigger than a football pitch or a football field. Okay? 4% of it is intermediate level waste that is bad enough that you'd have to be reasonably careful with it. This is where you put it in steel containers that don't break, or you use stainless steel containers and bury it in the ground, or other I'll bring up in a minute. That would be a literal 300 foot tall cube. 100 meters by 100 meters by 100 meters, or 100 yards by 100 yards by 100 yards. Those are the big ones. The high-level waste, the shit that you actually have to worry about that is really important, not that it'll get into the food supply, but that it's literally directly dangerous, the one that most of you are taught to be frightened of, is a 70-foot tall cube. Over 20 meters tall, wide, and deep. These are building-sized masses, if not entire city block-sized masses of material. And that's how much space you need to get rid of it in a real way. So people talk about, well, we need to put it somewhere, but they always want to put it just under, like 100 meters underground. Okay, here we go. Savuka Mine South Africa, closed in 2017. It's the third deepest mine on the planet. It goes down 2.3 miles or 3.7 kilometers deep. If we only bury just the high-level nuclear waste and just get rid of it by putting it into individually packaged sizes with shielding, the shielding makes it take up a bigger space. Instead of 70-foot tall cube, you get a 90-foot tall cube. We're talking about just the steel casing to keep it from physically leaking. Stainless steel. We mix it with something to make it into a ceramic, for instance. Make it into what looks like clay balls. Or clay, I don't know, some sort of hyper-hexagon to where they all crunch together. Look up the packing formula, packing problem. It's called the ball. Look that up. But the point is, we can just fill up these things and then spray them with Spraycrete and fill in the deepest part of it until we run out of space in the deepest mine on the planet. This is a disabled mine in South Africa. We could just pack it there. Yeah, but no, I'm not kidding. Make it in a container that can't break down over a reasonable period of time, and then surround it with a material, a specific type of concrete you can make, that can make it to where it's bigger. Let's make it a ball this big. Instead of a tennis ball, it's now, let's say, a basketball or larger ball. And then put it in there and spray it with cement and leave it. But yeah, we have to mark. No, we don't have to mark shit. We keep filling in the mine with waste material until we get rid of the almost 500-foot cube of very low-level shit, the 300-foot cube of shit that's a little more dangerous, and keep doing it until we run out of space in the mine, down to, at this point, how about half a mile? And then we just start pouring in rock fill only, just worthless neighboring rock that we put in such a way that we spray it in with a little bit of cement mixed in and keep going. Putting a half a mile of cement and rock between whoever would be curious and something that they don't want, and making it progressively lower and lower radioactive waste would work. Then up at the top, you then completely alter it to where it has a couple of buildings and stuff like that to explain away the disturbance of the ground, maybe even put in a city, and then fill it in by backfilling it. And then don't put markers. Don't put semiotics anywhere. Don't put symbols of skulls and crossbones. Don't communicate to the future that this place had any significance of any kind. This is the one bit of the semiotics where you have to say this is not a place of honor and a bunch of other memes. I'll use that for the thumbnail. Make it to where nobody wants to look there. This is within our grasp. It's not just a technically feasible thing, it's the right thing to do. Now, why am I saying this? Well, you sound like you're pro-nuclear. If your idea of discussing a subject is to look for something that's associated with your niche pet peeve, you're not allowed to have the conversation. I don't know if anybody's understood this, but in the United States, for the last several decades, we've been dealing with people who yabbut every goddamn thing. This includes social justice warlords, not social justice workers. Yes, I'm going to make a designation and distinction between them. People who don't want to solve a problem, I call activists, because their entire point in life is to keep having power by argument, by argumentum. They want to have a debate continually where they cheat. You know, like every conservative we see on TV or on YouTube. They don't solve any problems. They just make it take longer to get to the solution. This is a solution. What's the other one? How about 11 kilometers or almost 7 miles deep burying it, where it's nearly impossible to go, even though people have gone there. You know, where only the rich implode. Yes, I'm going there. There's a chunk of the bottom of the ocean that's 2,000 kilometers or almost 1,600 miles long. It's 70 kilometers wide almost and over 40 miles wide. And that is the Mariana Trench. Make them too heavy to float in anything. Just make them to where it can't float, no matter how dense the salt water is. And then dump them. It's 40 miles wide and 1,000 miles long. I don't think you're going to miss the target. Find the deepest part of the ocean to dump it in and dump them in. Remember, they're in a container that is made to where it can't chemically leak, and we've sintered it and packed it and whatever we need to. These are technologies we already know how to do. You can even do this with hot material. You can do this with the elephant's foot in Chernobyl, technically. Yes, there's a way, somebody figured it out, there is a way to make a robot that's controllable to where you can chop that shit up and get it out of there. It's going to always be a toxic waste dump in and of itself until you clean it. You can't let it sit for 10,000 years. That's not going to work. All right? The Mariana Trench, or stick it in a mine that's already been dug deeper than almost anything. I mean, it's the third deepest one. The one that's deeper than that is only a little deeper. This is the deepest spot on Earth that is human accessible that we can pack stuff in. Well, it has water in there. You spray-crete everything, you seal it up, and you put it in there, and you put it in containers that ignore any chemical or other. Unless volcanism happens, it's not going to be disturbed for 10,000 years. It's too fucking deep, number one. Number two, it would literally take tectonic plate action and erosion over millennia to do it. That's just fine. Make a minimum depth. Figure out one. Do it. Or keep talking about it so you can have, well, our end goal is to get rid of every nuclear plant. And the other side is, our end goal is to make it to where every single country has a nuclear warhead and a nuclear power plant and all of this stuff. And then we get to use fear and have wars. And everybody's got biases they won't tell you about. They lie about it. And for the last 80, 100 years, people in the background have had end goals. There are groups of people on this planet that want the population dropped by any means necessary. And they create the memes you see about depopulation. They want to do it, but they want you to blame everybody else while they work in the background, scurrying around doing their shit. And a lot of them, you have figured out, unless you're ignoring it, are on the conservative side. On the liberal side, every single claim that's been made about this shit, saying the liberals are doing it, has turned out to be a lie on purpose. A liar isn't going to lie to you, isn't going to tell you the truth, even if it does them any good, if a lie can be controlled. A lie is something you make up, you have total power over. Telling the truth requires, if you want it to be real, to be you submitting to reality, you submitting to the truth. That's not something the devil's going to do. And those little background characters that are doing these evils have some overarching plan that they want to do. And they're all like that. All of them. That includes the people who are doing things with good intentions. They don't tell you what they're really thinking. They tell you what they want you to hear so you'll do what they want. Because they mobilize you to do their dirty work. Don't ever forget that. And that includes both sides, including the sides that want to do good. We found that out. I'm not going to say names. You're all thinking up lots of different names. You know, bleach in the blood vessels and Fauci. All of them said what they needed to say to get something done they thought would work best. Instead of just, here's the unvarnished truth, I haven't even polished this turd, this is what happened. Do you really want that? Most of you say you do, and then you gravitate towards whatever makes you feel good. The copium is strong with all of us. We have radioactive waste. We have to get it taken care of. And it has to be taken care of in a way that will work for not 10,000 years. It's 100. Look for the most geologically stable area that already has a mine in it and just get it over with. Please. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. This semiotics and sematics and arguments. This should not be an academic subject. It should be a project that we're doing right now with all of radioactive crap. And I'm including depleted uranium, even though it has some uses, because it's still a radioactive waste product we need to get rid of. Unless you're going to recycle it and reuse it to make energy, get rid of it. Bye.